Hi! Now today's been a funny old day. Here's why. It started very strangely. Today is leg day, in so much as I have to go and pick it up and take it to the crematorium. Not actually sure how I feel about that. I'll tell you later. So yeah, it was quite strange to have a body part of yours in a box right here in front of you. I'm kind of glad it was in a box because I was imagining getting it in a bag and being able to feel my own toes, but they're not my toes anymore and all, that sort of weirdness. So I'm really glad that that was not the case, and it was all sealed up in a box, which meant I had no temptation whatsoever to look inside the box and see what it looked like. I just didn't want to know because it's not attached to me anymore, so it would not look like my foot anymore. So I had to arrange the time in which I was going to go and collect it, and I had to sign and show ID to prove it was me. I was collecting my own body parts, and then I had to arrange to have it dropped off at the crematorium within an hour of having collected it. And then I've got to wait for a call tomorrow, and I'll get it returned to me in an urn. So that means that I'm still totally undecided about what to do with it then. But a lot of people have suggested to me that I keep hold of the ashes and then have them buried or cremated or whatever with the rest of me whenever it is that I pass on. So that seems like quite a logical thing to do right now. So I'm gonna perhaps have some more thoughts about that. There's no rush. I don't have to decide immediately. Yes. So me and the friend of mine that went down to the crematorium to drop this off and pick the leg up and blah, blah, blah. We laughed all the way down there because it was just a bit odd, and then laughed all the way to the coffee shop afterwards because it was still just a little bit odd. So thank you, Liz, for agreeing to do that. It's not every day that you help someone go and collect their own leg. And it was quite a line that she was using with her children that morning. So yes, it was just a little bit odd. I also want to thank Gabby because when I got home today, after my really odd day, I have got a box, and here's what it has in it. So I'm just going to remove some of the wrappings and show you. There we go. You know what? A girl can never have too much chocolate and never have too much alcohol, particularly Bailey's. So thank you very much, Gabby. That was a lovely surprise when we got back. And it came in a box that said flying flowers. So I expected more flowers, and I got chocolates and wine instead. What an extra bonus. So thank you for that. So once I departed with the leg, the woman in the crematorium didn't quite know how to take me because, well, I suppose she usually deals with people that are grieving lost loved ones, and I was only grieving a lost body part. And actually not grieving particularly because I'm like, yes, the pain has stopped, even though I've lost a foot. So she really wasn't sure how to take me, honestly, and perhaps I should have worn the t-shirt to reassure her, I don't know. So she assured me she was going to take care of me, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's all right, I'm sure you will. I don't need it anymore. But it was quite heavy. The box was quite heavy. To think that you're carrying a body part of your own that used to be attached to you, it was just a little bit surreal. And the box was heavy. And now I know it was 4.5 kilos. I asked them to weigh it, but still, that used to be attached to the end of my legs. No wonder my legs feeling quite light with all that missing off the end of it. So that was the morning, followed by coffee, and then I went to work. I spent the next 4 or 5 hours at work. Reasonably productive day at work. Wrote some articles for the website. Dealt with some customers, phone calls, that sort of jazz. Talking to people as usual. I love talking to people, and they like talking to me and asking me weird questions. And then I had a massage because one of our massage therapists had a space, and I didn't really have time for it the last time she had a space. So she made my shoulders feel better because every morning I get up and oh my gosh, my shoulders are sore right in there and my hands feel so stiff. And I think it's because of all the wheelchairing and my shoulders just aren't used to it. And it was, so I'm feeling a little bit better about that. We also did back and glutes and back of leg up to the knee. She said the amputated leg didn't freak her out, but you know, it's just like feet. She didn't want to touch it if she didn't have to. She'd never had an amputee as a massage client before. So that was a new one for her too. All these things I'm teaching her before she leaves. Excellent. Trina, you sure you want to leave? So then I carried on for, you know, a few more hours doing the admin, and away I went. But there is something that I have discovered when I get to the end of the day, and now I've spent a couple of weeks in this wheelchair. There's an interesting thing that I've discovered. Man, you feel really crunched up when you're in a wheelchair. This stretch, oh my gosh. Sitting down all day long, when I finally get into bed at night, I feel like I want to hang from the rafters and be stretched out. Imagine sitting on a long haul flight for 45 hours and actually not being allowed to get up. That's what it's like. You feel so crunched up, it's untrue. And you really don't think about that when you're not in a wheelchair, but you really feel it down through your hip flexors, and it really does end up being something you really do have to stretch out to keep everything nimble and moving. I forgot to mention, I also surprised one of my PT clients. I'm not yet back to PT yet because I need to renew my first aid certificate. I need to be able to kneel and do CPR to do that, and not allowed to kneel for, you know, large amounts of time just yet. When I kneel down, I'm using the kneecap more than the, you know, anything else to try and reduce the pressure. Don't kneel down that much, to be fair. So I was in the building today when one of my PT clients was in the building. She was complaining a lot. I could hear her. She wasn't in the building. They were doing it on Skype, and I could hear her in the background moaning and groaning. So I went over and got on the floor and did a plank with one leg. I had no idea until I got down on the floor and tried it whether I actually could do a plank on one leg, but I can tell you, I actually can do a plank with one leg. It's actually really hard because you can't hook the other foot over the back because I don't have the foot. So you've got to hold everything up with just one leg not touching the floor. And that means your core has to work extra hard and your hip flexors work extra hard. It's just not the same as just lifting the foot off the floor. I can't even describe. So anybody who's an amputee who's tried plank with one leg, just let me know how you find it, because I found it harder than I thought. And I used to be reasonably good at planks. I know I've not been exercising for a while, but anyway, yes, I like to pop in and surprise people every now and again with what the heck are you complaining about? So my favourite line at the moment is, are you using one leg? If not, why not? So that was quite interesting too. I'm feeling quite cheerful about the fact that I could still do a plank even without a foot. This is what my one-legged plank looks like. Have you tried a one-legged plank? But don't put the other foot on the floor, and don't lift it up, and don't hook it over the other leg. Just hold it up there. It's harder than you think. So I can do a one-legged plank, and I can do it for about 20 seconds. I'm not going to today because I've done a lot of work today, and it's actually really hard. But I just wanted to show you I could do it anyway. Yes. I can kneel. Now I've got to admit, my weight is more on the other side. And I can't feel the front of my leg at all. It doesn't even feel like this is on the floor. I simply can't feel it. Now I know I'm not supposed to put too much pressure through this, so there's not much weight on that. It's all on the right leg. But have you ever considered how much stabilization your foot gives you when you're in this position that you lose when you don't have it? And that was my day. So I didn't really feel too much grief, loss, departure, handover, anything like that, particularly with the leg when I handed it over. I wasn't sure how I'd feel, but yeah, it's all right. I'm still all right. I think the main grief happened the day that I had the operation. I was broken on that day, the day I had the operation. That was grief, but I've never really experienced it since because it's been acceptance, it's been goodbye, good riddance, and let's move on. And so that has made it all a lot easier. And I think that was how I sort of felt with the, departure of the leg. Here you go, return the ashes to me, so that all my bits and pieces can be buried together. But other than that, I didn't have any emotional attachment and I wasn't sure how I'd feel. So that's how my day's been. Anyway, I will stop rambling and let you get on. And I will talk to you again tomorrow. Cheerio! By the way, what an interesting roller coaster of emotions. Even I can see it watching these videos back. Up one day, down the next, okay the next. I guess that's all part of the grieving process, and I knew it would be a roller coaster, but the roller coaster is a little bit steeper than I thought. Yeah.